Welcome to the Beauty and Battle podcast, where we talk about winning in marriage by waging a war. I'm Jason Benham. I've got my girlfriend / wife, Tori Benham, with me, and we are here to talk to you about how Satan tries to get you to fight face to face with your spouse, but God designed you to fight shoulder to shoulder against Satan so that you can win in your marriage. Fighting together draws you together. We cannot wait to jump in. So here we go. So today we're going to do a really fun one, and I pulled this straight out of the business world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
This is cool. And as you've seen from the title, it's how the TERA Quotient, T-E-R-A, quotient can help your marriage. So I'm going to explain what the heck that is and how in business and organizational life, whether nonprofit or for-profit business, how increasing your TERA Quotient is legit, like it is how you build your business. And if you've never heard of it, don't worry, because chances are you might have done some of these things. If you owned a business or run an organization, you've done some of these things and didn't even realize it.
Yeah, this is really good stuff. I have learned a lot in the last couple of days just researching this, and it makes a lot of sense to me. So we're excited.
But before we get into that, Tori has picked out a song. Who's it by?
Okay, so it's Russell Dickerson, and the title is Yours, the Wedding Edition.
Oh.
And it's not country, so we're,
Okay, got it.
I had to kind of pull us in a different direction for today.
Well, thank you for that.
So here's a little teaser.
Thank God I'm yours, Tor. Are we still going? I think YouTube's about to pop us.
Okay.
That's a good song.
Check it out. It's a good one.
I like it.
That it is. It's really good. I like it a lot. Russell Dickerson, Yours, Wedding Edition.
I don't think I have that on my slow playlist. I did have Thomas and Danielle Spezial reached out. Actually, Thomas did and said, "Hey, have you ever published your playlist?" And I was like, "No, but I'll send you the one I got." So it did get me thinking I need to publish our Jason and Tori slow song playlist, because all these songs we play for you guys, we either have them on our playlist or we're going to put them on our playlist. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Thomas. Great idea.
We just got to figure out how to do that.
Oh, and I feel so bad for them because when they were dating, they created a playlist and they had like all their favorite love songs, and they accidentally deleted it and he couldn't get it back.
Oh, no.
So sorry, gang.
Oh, that's sad. That's really sad.
So hopefully you'll like ours and you can give us some of yours. I think they're John Mayer fans.
He's
got some good stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, so let's get into this TERA Quotient. Now, when I say TERA, I'm talking T-E-R-A, and we'll show you why. It's an acronym for the four things that we're going to be talking about. But this is a business principle. So in business, potential customers, and this is what, on my Expert Ownership podcast, I'll probably do a podcast on this TERA Quotient for my Expert Ownership. But in there, we talk a lot about businesses, faith-filled entrepreneurs who we want to help launch into greater freedom and success. So when it comes to business, potential customers are internally asking questions that need to be answered before they'll engage with the business. So they don't even realize they're asking these questions. So it's happening internal. It's at the subconscious level. And we're always asking questions. And this isn't just for business. This is also for church.
Yeah.
Like if you go visit a new church, well, inside your subconscious, your brain, now that neuroscience has entered into the mix and we know what's happening inside your brain is asking these four questions. And we're going to get to the questions here in just a second, but let me set this up. So when you walk into that new church, it's asking these questions. And ultimately, do I feel safe with these people or do I not?
Yes.
Are they my people or are they not?
Which makes sense. Our core human need being security.
Yes.
That makes sense that we're always looking for safety.
Yes. And so when people come into a business and you go into an Apple store, you go into a mall and you walk into a store, you go into a grocery store or whatever, their brains are assessing whether or not they feel safe with the company and can they trust it. So it's about safety and trust. So the safer they feel, the more likely they'll buy.
Yeah.
Or if it's a church, the safer they feel, more comfortable they feel, the more likely they will join. They'll join the church. Well, neuroscientists got together, discovered how our brains are asking these 4 questions at all times when we're interacting with people. So it's not just a business context or a church context.
Right.
And these 4 questions spell out the word TERA, T-E-R-A. And before we get to that, they call this the TERA Quotient.
Okay.
So the trust factor in any business is called your TERA Quotient. So a good business tries to increase the TERA Quotient.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So it's based on a discovery in neuroscience that shows the 4 primary drivers that influence how the brain reads any situation.
Okay.
So if your brain signals any type of unsafety, it retreats. If it signals safety, it will engage.
Yeah.
So it's about the safety. So the higher the TERA Quotient, the greater the security and trust in the organization, in the business, in the church, or whatever. So this works in churches and businesses. And they're always, a good church or a good business is trying to increase its TERA Quotient. And as we were researching this started out as a business exercise,
Okay.
TERA Quotient. But I actually read an article by a pastor who used it in his church.
Yeah.
And it really helped their church. But what Tori and I want to do is we want to take this and apply it to your marriage. So what are the 4 components of the TERA Quotient? Okay, let me give them to you, and then we're going to go through each of these one by one. Number 1 is tribe. That's the T. Okay. Number 2 is expectation. That's the E. Number 3 is rank. That's the R. And number 4 is autonomy. That's the A. Okay. We're going to go through each of these. So let's think tribe. Okay. So when you first walk into a business, you first walk into a church, your brain is asking, are these people with me or against me?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. It's tribe. If the brain sees these people as on my side, it increases the TERA Quotient, which breaks down the walls and leads the person to buy or leads the person to want to engage. In your marriage, the question is, does your spouse feel like you're on their side?
Yeah. So good. It's so true. And one of the things that I read as you were passing along some of this information to me is that with the TERA, it's basically you want your people to feel like they are in a rewarding environment and not a risky environment.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
that's good.
Reward versus risky. And so that's kind of what you're thinking of when you're thinking of your TERA Quotient. Am I making people feel like this is a reward or that they're at risk? And so I thought that was in this first one, being tribe, that your brain's asking, are you for me or are you against me? And if you're not quite sure about that, then you're putting them in this kind of risky environment, right? That they're not exactly sure. So when you first showed me these and I was going over them, I immediately, when I went through each one, I thought about my mom, because this week or last week or whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, we were at the beach and it was both of our birthdays. And for her birthday, I got this little jar and had everybody just put in the jar a few words that they thought of when they think of mom, either a few words that they thought of when they think of her, or a few words they felt that they think when they feel when they think about how she makes them feel.
Right.
I kind of gave these different examples of what they could do for words. And so for me, as I was thinking about how does mom make me feel? The first word that came to my mind was safe.
That's good.
Because mom always makes me feel like she's for me, right? Like there's something unique about your parents. Like they're for you. They want better for you than they want for themselves. I saw this meme recently and I sent it to Allie, that your mom is the only woman in your life that wants you to be better than her. And it was like this meme that was kind of like going around, and it's like, it's so true. Like there's no, there's nothing, there's no competition in that type of love between a mother and a daughter. It's like this very safe relationship where you're like, I want you to be better than me. I want everything about your life to like, there's no competition, right? Because you are for them. You're just, this is your child. Like it's just a unique relationship. And so when I'm thinking about the TERA in the realm of safety, I think about my mom. Like there's something about a parent that just makes you feel, or should make you feel, really safe.
I have failed in this area as a parent, and I think there are probably some listeners out there that have, where we feel like when our kids bring us a problem, at least in my perspective, I have always been like, okay, well, tell me about the other person. Like, okay, so I'm going to look at things objectively. And sometimes I've looked at things so objectively that the kids don't really feel like I'm on their side. I think what I've learned as a parent is first, the kids need to feel like I'm on their side.
Yeah.
Then look at it objectively.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to constantly bring the balance. It's like, yeah, I do need to bring balance.
Right.
But first, I have to let them know I am team Trey.
Yeah.
I am team Allie.
That's good.
I'm team Jake or team Lundy first. You need to know that. And you know who's the best in the world at that is your dad.
Yeah, he is. He's so good.
You can say, I walked up to a police officer and punched him in the face. And your dad would be like, well, what did he do to you? Like he's always on our side.
Right.
He does a really good job with that. And I think this for tribe, you need to recognize that your spouse, their brain subconsciously is asking, is my spouse for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they team, is Jason team Tori?
Yeah.
Is Tori team Jason?
Right.
And you might have a personality where you feel like you need to balance your spouse out. Well, don't do that until after they know you're in it with them.
Yeah.
And even if, Tori, you may be wrong in this situation, I'm going to be wrong with you and we're going to go down together.
Right.
So that's number one is tribe. The brain is asking, are you with me or are you against me? Number two, E is expectation. The brain is consistently asking, do I know the future or don't I? If what's going to happen next is clear, the situation is safe.
Yeah.
If it's not, then the situation's not safe, right? If they're unsure on what to expect, then you'll be seen as unsafe.
Yeah.
And I was talking with Tori about this, and you gave an example, and you should share that example of one thing that has made you in the past feel unsafe with me, because sometimes I like to joke around. Yeah. And sometimes I'll joke around and I'll say stupid stuff and I'll put my foot in my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And Tori's like, that makes me feel unsafe.
We were kind of going through it together as a couple. Like, how do we, do you feel like I'm for you? Or, do you ever feel like I'm against you? Just asking these questions. We got to expectation. And I said, sometimes I do feel a little unsafe because I don't know what to expect is coming from your mouth sometimes. And we laughed about it, but at the same time, it was good for us to be able to communicate that, that's, and you said, well, I've actually been really working on that. And I've actually there's a couple really funny things that I could have said that I didn't, because I know it could have come.
Somebody doesn't know my personality or whatever. And then it embarrasses Tori. And I'm like, hey, this was fun. She's like, yeah, but those people don't know how to take you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was funny. Yeah, but you don't make fun of the dude's feet. You don't even know the guy. I'm like, yeah, I was just pointing out his long toenails. That's all. Yeah, but it's really important. Like, I need to do a better job of making Tori feel safe in that area, so to where she can expect that when I'm in public, I'm not going to say something stupid. Then you can go even deeper into, are you a person of your word? If you tell your spouse, hey, I'm going to be there, I'm going to pick the kids up, or I'm going to be home for dinner at this time or whatever, are you there at that time? Or does she know, typically when he says that, he's going to be an hour later than what he says? Well, that expectation, you're not giving your spouse safety there. Yeah,
that's true. And we always say in our coaching, disappointment is the gap between expectation and reality.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And this comes up so often in relationships, right? That if we're not careful to really set the expectation and to be someone who follows through on that expectation.
To set the expectation and then meet the expectation.
Yes.
If you don't, disappointment's going to fill that gap.
Yeah. And then another thing that we often talk about is that where there's a lack of communication, negativity fills the gap.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly right.
And so it's also really important with expectations that you communicate those expectations. I'm going to be late.
Yeah. Just be honest.
You're expecting me home at this time. I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be home at that time. Right. So then it's not like this, this crazy negativity that fills the gap. It's like, oh my gosh, he's not home again. I can never trust him. I never know. But when you over communicate, that really, really helps with expectations. I was really proud of, Trey, our oldest. He's engaged now. And, he texted me the other day and it was like, he doesn't know anybody's number but mine, because I've had the same number since he was like, 5
It
years
is
old.
crazy. I grew up knowing everybody's phone number, and now I don't know anybody's phone number.
Yeah, they're all like totally.
Yeah.
So I think I'm the number that he still remembers from being a kid. So he's like, "Hey, mom, text Bailey and let her know my phone died." But I'm, and he's overly communicating where he is, what he's doing, because she's expecting a call from him.
Yeah.
And I was just so proud of him. And she responded, she's like, "Look at him over communicating." And, she was like, "That's awesome."
That's funny.
But it's true. It's like, it's such an important practice in relationship. Just over communicate. Even if it feels silly, just over communicate so that you can help manage expectations.
Yeah. Note to self: if Trey and Bailey don't look like they're doing really well, give Tori Trey's phone and let her text Bailey something really nice. Yeah. Okay, Bailey, I'm sorry. I know you listen to this podcast. We won't do that. We promise. At least
so funny.
I won't. Maybe Tori will. Okay, so that's expectation. Okay, the third facet of the TERA quotient is rank. Okay, what they mean by rank is the brain is consistently asking, are you more important or less important than I am? This is all about how rank is being played out in the moment.
Yeah.
So if you diminish my status, then the situation's not secure. So people want to know that they're valued.
Yeah.
And Tori, we've talked a lot about this.
Yep.
Your job as a spouse is to make your spouse feel valued.
Yes.
To make them feel they are, honestly, make them feel better than you are.
Yeah.
But never, ever, ever undervalue them and make them feel like you are better than they are.
Yeah.
If you have listened to us for any period of time, you've heard us talk about, Dr. John Gottman talks about how the number one marriage killer is contempt.
Yeah.
And contempt is unchecked criticism in the mind, where you are critical of your spouse, but then you add in the element of comparison, where you think things about your spouse and even oftentimes can voice things to your spouse, like, you were late for dinner again. You're always late.
Yeah,
you care about work more than me. If you made dinner, I would never show up late. Now, all of a sudden, you've brought comparison in. Yeah. And what you've done in that moment is you've placed yourself above your spouse. Now, it is true that your spouse needs to figure out why the heck he's late.
Yeah.
Right? And needs to figure that stuff out. But the minute you place yourself above them, what you need to understand is neurologically, your spouse feels that.
Yeah.
And their brain is telling them they are not safe with you anymore.
Yeah.
Whenever
really
they feel that from you.
Yeah. So good.
Oh, were you going to go?
No,
I was waiting. I was like, is there anything you wanted to fill in on that?
That you covered it.
Yeah. So you want to make your spouse feel valued. Never, ever, ever make them feel undervalued. Okay. So that's rank. And then fourthly is autonomy. And autonomy is all about freedom. So the brain is asking, do I get a say or don't I?
Yeah.
If you do get a say, it's seen as a safe situation. So autonomy is all about choice and voice. That, you do have a choice in the matter. And you do have a voice in the matter, which means that what you think about this situation, it actually matters.
Yeah.
And I just think that, especially for baby boomer generation, like my parents' age, the parents who are in their 70s, I think they grew up in that day and age of the man says it, that seals it.
Right.
Kind of thing. And I think that a lot of women have grown up feeling like, well, my choice and my voice weren't really important. Yeah. Of course, then I think sometimes it's flung too far to the other side to where the husband no longer even acts like a man anymore.
Right.
And so I do think that it's important for us to recognize autonomy. The brain of your spouse is wanting to know, are they safe with you? And in terms of autonomy, do you really value their voice? Yeah. Do you value the choice that they would make? Right.
Yeah. And I think too, with this one, sometimes, I think it can be all over the place. We have so many different personalities in relationships, but in our relationship, I feel like this is something that you've actually had to really kind of draw out of me. Like, you make the decision, Tori. You could I think for some of us, it's just not like that big of a deal to let somebody else make the decisions, or, to not have autonomy. Like, there's, it might not be a natural thing for me to like be desiring that like all the time, but it's important that I am, right? That I do exercise that. So for you, you're like, because you've kind of noticed that, and we've done a lot of, just self-awareness work. And one of the things that kind of came up is that I've got to, I can have opinions, and I can have desires, and I can voice those things. And So you kind of have had to pull that out of me, which has been really cool to kind of watch you like draw that out of me. And
I think husbands need to do that.
Yeah.
I think, especially when your wife's been in the home taking care of the kids and all that kind of stuff, that you really do have to pull it out of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure that their choice and voice is really important.
Yeah. And I remember hearing a relationship coach talking about that often in relationships, you've got one partner afraid of losing the other, while the other is afraid of losing themselves. So you've got this distancer pursuer thing going on, right? Which it's like, I want to, I'm going after them and I'm pursuing them, but then the other person is like, whoa, autonomy. I need space. Like I need to be, I'm afraid that you're going to suck the life out of me and I'm going to forget who I am. And so I think it's just important to have that awareness around that. Like, and I felt that before too, like where I'm like, I feel myself pulling away and I don't know exactly why. And I think there is this subconscious fear of losing myself and losing that independence. But it's not something to fear. It's something to face. Like it's something to be like, okay, like I actually don't have anything to be afraid of. I just need to speak up. Yeah. I just need to say, oh no, I want to do this. And so, but I think often when you feel like you just have to, self-awareness is so important, like to recognize why you're doing what you're doing so that you can manage it. Right. We talk about that all the time with emotional intelligence. That's what it is. It's just being aware of what you're doing so that you can manage it. And I think if you don't know that you're doing it, it can, kind of spiral and it can cause distance instead of connection. Yeah.
That's really good. So let me give you these 4 components. All in one. So the first is tribe. So the brain is asking, are you with me or are you against me? So make sure that your spouse knows that they are your person. They are your person. Number 2, expectation. The brain is asking, do I know the future or don't I? So if what's going to happen next is clear, then the situation is safe for your spouse. Make sure that you're talking about and you're meeting and even exceeding expectations. Number 3, rank. The brain is asking, are you more important or less important than I am? So always make your spouse feel more important. And number 4 is autonomy. The brain is always asking, do I get a say or don't I? You going to force me into this or do I actually have a choice? And you got to make sure that your spouse always feels those 4 things. So the key is increase your TERA quotient. So here are 3 questions that I'm going to end with. Okay. What can you start doing today to raise your TERA quotient? What can you just think through that? Think of some practical things that you can start doing today. Like for me, one of my things was just make sure I think before I speak. The funny thing that is about to fly out of my mouth and embarrass Tori, maybe I should think before I speak. Okay, so there you go.
And wait, because we talked about this last night too.
Okay.
And for me, it was the rank. There's this a little bit of something inside of me, or I don't know if it's inside of me that I'm actually feeling, but I projected onto you that I'm a little bit better than you because I can control my tongue and I don't I don't just spout out and say things. And so it can come across like that I'm putting myself above you. Like,
that's a good point.
By always correcting you in the way that I correct you.
It's like, well, I never do that kind of thing. Then the whole rank thing. Yeah. It's like I may be failing in expectation, but you're failing in rank.
Exactly.
Which is rank.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of rank to fail in rank. So that is rank. And then fourthly, autonomy. The brain's always asking, do I get a say or don't I? Like how valued do you make your spouse feel?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, I just dealt autonomy right after rank. So let me do these 3 questions. So the first is, what can you start doing to raise your TERA quotient? Okay. What can you stop doing to raise it? There are some things that you need to stop doing. I had to do that. And then the last question is, what can you do more or less? What is it that you can do more of? What is it that you can do less of in order to raise your TERA quotient? And it's all about safety, making your spouse feel safe. So there you go. We took a little
relationship that you're allowing your spouse to feel the reward more than the risk. Then you're going to increase this TERA quotient.
TERA Nova.
TERA Nova.
Isn't TERA Nova a test?
Yeah.
So funny.
Okay, so real quick, I want to share a recipe.
Yeah.
I think I have shared this before with you guys. It might have been like forever ago, but we make these protein pancakes all the time. And so I was just going to tell you where you can find this amazing recipe. It's a high protein.
Is that what we ate last night?
That's what we had last night.
That was good.
I mean, everybody really loves them. And All it is, it's from Trim Healthy Mamas, and you can go to thelaundrymoms.com and type in Trim Healthy Mama pancakes. And it's a high protein pancake recipe where all it is 1 cup of oats, 1 cup of cottage cheese, 1 cup of egg whites, and then some baking powder. And they use their sweetener, which I haven't bought in years. So I just
do maple syrup, right?
Just do a little bit of maple syrup instead of whatever sweetener that I think it's like a stevia or something, or urethra, some kind of plant-based sweetener. Anyways, I don't love those kind of sweeteners. They just have this weird aftertaste. So I just do a little bit of maple syrup.
Go cane sugar.
And definitely add blueberries, and it's really delicious. High protein, low carb.
Don't forget the secret ingredient though, Tor. Turn that frying pan up and put a gob amount of butter.
Oh yeah.
And then put it down there, because then that little crusties, the outside edge of the pancake is like filled with butter, and that's what it makes you think about Cracker Barrel.
Yes, if you can make it on a cast iron pan with a lot of butter.
Ball game. Everything's better with butter and bacon. Don't ever forget that.
True. Facts.
So raise your TERA quotient, okay? TERA. Don't ever forget it. Tribe, expectation, rank, and autonomy. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. That was helpful to me and Tori.
Yeah,
it set me straight, Thanks, Tori. You set me straight.
I'm going to make you feel more safe than ever before this week.
Thanks for hanging with us. Appreciate you guys, and we will check you next week.
See you guys.